What's up, everybody? Welcome to the blackcomiclords presentation on the Black Panther 60th anniversary issue. This is a show I've been really looking forward to. As many of you know, the Black Panther is my favorite comic book superhero of all time. He has been for the last 30 years since I first read Christopher Priest's Black Panther #1 in 1998. Because a guy by the name of Dennis Cowan, that's not Dennis Cowan, a guy by the name of Dennis Cowan said, "Hey, you should try this Black Panther character out. All the things you're complaining about is in here." And I was like, "All right, I'll give the guy a shot." And I've been hooked ever since. We all know that the character.
What is going on?
That's we've got our producer in the background. Let me mute his mic. We all know that the character blew up after his appearance in the MCU.
How you doing, guys and girls? Why are you doing? My name is Sexual Chocolate. We apologize, but we are having a quick technical difficulty. Please bear with us, and we will absolutely be back. We apologize, but it seems that the powers that be are giving us an issue. So in the meantime, we leave you with one of our great BCL commercials. Stay tuned.
What's up, y'all? Billy used to sing about southern trees bearing strange fruit, while Paul Laurence Dunbar explains that we should wear the mask to conceal our tears and sighs, while they hide behind bedsheet hoods, being up to no good. Spawn issue 30 is about Al Simmons finding himself in the Deep South, asking forgiveness from an ex-wife. Love be like that sometime. Anyway, Spawn finds himself in the middle of Klan country. And I guess this night, they gave the cross the night off and decided to burn down a brother's property. Spawn walks up on this and the man immediately takes him for an enemy. But you know that old saying, the enemy of my enemy is my friend. Well, Spawn spins a yarn for the brother to let him know that he's had his share of dealing with Mr. T'Challa and sellouts, namely his boy Terry, who just so happens to be with his ex-wife. But that's another story for another day. So Spawn goes looking for trouble, dressed in Klan robes, and he finds himself swinging from one of those southern trees that Billy was singing about. But you know, you can't kill someone that's already dead. And let's just say Spawn exacts his revenge for the brother he met and for himself by an unmasking of his own. So check it out. If you like the video, please share and subscribe to our YouTube channel. And thanks for watching. Peace.
Let me swap out.
Clearly, the enemies of Bast are against us tonight. But that's all right, because I'm here with the Black Panther family. Enough of that. Enough of me. Let's jump into this book. Let's start with a special guest who dropped in. I wasn't sure if he was going to be able to make it or not. But this is a legend, and as one of the legendary Black Panther writers. Most famously known for his Rise of the Black Panther series, in which he redefined the origins of T'Challa and, in many respects, the origins of Wakanda. Mr. Evan Narcisse.
Hi, everybody.
There he is.
You don't have to clap for me. I appreciate it, though. Glad to be here. Thanks for you guys for inviting me. This character means a lot to me, like it does to you, Paul, and readers all over the world. So I'm just really happy I got a chance to be part of this special. Yeah, let's get straight to it.
Let's get straight to it. Chocolate, let's bring up our slides. All right. First, can you tell me how did this project begin?
I mean, as far as I know, there was something already in the works at Marvel. At least I assume there was. Um, I knew that the anniversary was coming up in 2026, and I emailed some folks over there and was, hey, if you guys are planning anything, I'd love to be a part of it. And I in comics, you normally it's don't call us, we'll call you, right? And I put my intentions out there and let the editors over there know that I would like to be a part of this, and I didn't hear anything back until I did, and the opportunity to write the framing story, connecting the various chapters to each other, was what was offered to me, and it was go from there. I mean, I knew almost immediately the character I wanted to use. My dog agrees with me, once I got the details about the various stories and characters, I started thinking about, okay, how can I weave all this together? That's the preamble. We can get into the nuts and bolts as we page through, but yeah.
Who was the person who came up with the overall idea of how to do this particular type of story, where you're kind of jumping between time periods and doing it from a perspective of T'Challa being missing and the search for T'Challa as a way to explore the character? Whose idea was that? Do you know?
Yeah, I mean, I think that was just editorial, specifically Will Moss, who I was talking to in the Avengers office, and the current status quo with T'Challa as a result of the Imperial crossover event was that he's in space, so he's gone from the country again, and so that was a plot beat that we had to kind of service. But other than that, the character being Casper Cole and the other stuff, I think they knew they were going to do an anthology with different creative teams, and instead of it being here's a story that doesn't connect to the other story, they wanted to have a framing sequence that I think added some stakes to the different chapters. We get to see why this person is so important by virtue of his relationship with other characters across the Marvel universe, and it kind of makes his absence felt a little bit more in the framing story. So that was kind of the thematic thinking. This dog is a compulsive licker, y'all. So she's gonna be doing this for however long she wants.
As long as you're good with it, it's good with us.
Yeah.
And those of you in the chat, if you're asking questions, go ahead and feel free to ask questions. Our producer for the night, Lord Chocolate, is in the back. I said Lord Chocolate. Good God help me. He's got me doing it too. Lord Chocolate's in the background. He's starring all your questions, and we're gonna come to those at the end at the chat section. All right, let's jump into this book. One of the things I've loved about your contribution to the character was your run in Rise of the Black Panther, in which you really had the opportunity to take a lot of the different origin takes and sort of congeal it all together and make it work. And you did such a brilliant job at that. But you had the opportunity. Whose idea was it for you to use Casper Cole? Was it yours, or is this something that they came up with for you?
That was on me.
That was you. What made you choose Casper Cole as the agent to sort of explore T'Challa's background?
I mean, we've seen him a few times after the Christopher Priest run in Wakanda, right? And it being part of the kind of reformed Hatut Zaraze. So it just felt like, as somebody who's concerned with Wakanda's security, who has a personal connection to T'Challa, and is an outsider still in Wakanda, I felt like those are all elements that made him a good viewpoint character, right? He pretended to be the Black Panther for a while. He became an acolyte. He's got a synthetic version of the heart-shaped herb, if I remember correctly. He's very adjacent, but everything about his background, him being from New York City, him being a former cop, him being broke, all of that is very different than T'Challa. So I thought it was just a nice bit of contrast. I got to play with some of those elements, but yeah, I just thought he's a great character to get a viewpoint on Wakanda and T'Challa's absence here.
I thought that was brilliantly done, and I'll tell you why. First, I think you're the perfect guy to handle this part of it, because I know for a fact that you're a fan of the character. You know T'Challa and you know Wakanda. You know that history, and it shows in your part. You had all these one-off lines that if you're a hardcore fan and reader of these stories, like every other panel, there's some reference to something in Wakanda or something in Black Panther's history that I thought was really cool. I mean, I could literally go page by page. I mean, you have this flashback scene where he's getting in the suit. You've got his Komoyo beads, which is a contribution by Brian Steelfreeze. He's the one that actually came up with that. And then you start with this very evocative line of "locate T'Challa." And then one of the things that you mentioned is, I thought this character, Casper Cole, was a great way. He's a bit of an outsider. He's from New York, and he was a great way to sort of analyze this character. That was the same reason that I thought Christopher Priest's run was so brilliant, because his character was Everett K. Ross. He used that as a literary device to explore the Black Panther and be the voice of the mainstream characters that are like, who the hell is this guy? And had this very American viewpoint of criticizing leaders, calling him the kitty cat guy or what have you. I thought that was a great sort of literary device that you used to help to explore this character, but someone who's knows a little bit about him because he's obviously been in Wakanda and been a part of the society, but is still an outsider and definitely acknowledges that as well. This is what I mean by making all these references. You've got obviously these flashbacks, the references to back when T'Challa had the Infinity Gauntlet, the numerous fights with Killmonger, the fact that you're referencing that the Hutuzuraze has now been reformed. That we didn't know that. You dropped a little Easter egg in there for us. Did you have anyone suggest that you do that type of thing, or is that something you just
no? This is all me. This is all me. You know, I think like the Hutuzuraze in Priest Run were obviously corrupt. Led, you know, like a splinter faction led by Hunter, kind of pursuing their own agenda, still like ostensibly concerned with the matters of state, right? But like in a sneaky, underhanded Black Ops kind of way that T'Challa really didn't want to perpetuate, right? So, but we've seen, you know, these white-clad soldiers running around in various Black Panther books for a while. So, you know, I think it just makes sense to assume that some version of this is still operating, right? And you know, as far as like the references to characters publishing history, like this is what this kind of special is supposed to be, right? It's supposed to be like, yeah, we're gonna walk you through all this dude's modalities, right? Like everything, you know. So like, there's references to him with the Ultimates in the framing story I wrote. There's like, you know, that middle inset panel is like the Fenris twins from Ta-Nehisi's run. Yeah, like, you know, he's been all over, done a lot of stuff. You know, he's a major load-bearing pillar of Marvel Universe. And, you know, I'd argue since the 70s has been, right? Like, you know, Vibranium's all over the Marvel Universe, right? You know, Wakanda Design Group, you know, has done stuff for people who are not Wakandan, right? Like they're traded on the stock exchange, right? They're a part of the socio-political fabric of the Marvel Universe. So
Captain America's shield, Falcon's wings.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it goes on and on. Yeah. Yeah, you know, I just wanted to show that like why this character is important. If he's gone, it's a problem for the country and for the universe, for the world and the universe,
and for fandom. But we'll talk about that later. The other thing you established is not only is the Hattusaraze back, but Casper Cole is actually a commander in that regiment. Does that make him the new, White Wolf, or how
I
does that
wouldn't, I wouldn't, be so like prescriptive right there. Like the story that I was leaning on there was from the World of Wakanda series, a single issue written by Rembert Brown. And, Wakanda says like, yo, I need somebody I can trust to be in here doing this stuff. So, there was not a rank assigned. I figured he'd be a commander. It's not a big deal. The point rather is like why he's there, right? There's a line I wrote in the story where T'Challa's like, yeah, people are going to vent to an outsider, right? They're going to give him shit as an outsider, but he's part of the state apparatus, so they have to respect him. So that tension is could make for really good intelligence gathering, and we see a little bit of that in the story. And
he probably has an easier time going to certain places as an American that they might have some difficulty fitting in. That's interesting. Can you explain to me why Chang and Meyer look so comfortable in Queen Ramonda's living room?
They're old friends, they go back to when T'Chaka was still alive,
I know. When I originally read that story, I always got this impression like there was like this romance that might have occurred after T'Chaka had died between the two of these characters. I always thought there was an allusion there. I was just curious if that's something that you were trying to allude to again.
Look, it's not for me to comment on will they, won't they, have they. I think there is an element of shared history and shared trauma. T'Chaka canonically was like, yeah, you doing too much up in the palace. You gotta be out of here, Professor. But he's still somebody who knew, T'Chaka. Ramonda can probably count, very few people that knew her late husband, and she trusts with like the totality of her experiences. There's not a lot of people. Her kids, Shangamire, and maybe Hunter on a good day. But
yeah.
All
right. So they note the fact that T'Challa's definitely missing. He's about to miss his father's memorial, which Ramonda mentions he never misses. We have these other references to the fact that, from T'Challa's perspective, he is Wakanda. Wherever he goes, he takes Wakanda with him. I thought that was a very interesting line. When you make references to the battles he's had, and then you jump back to the Eve Ewing run character introduced, Niobe. This is what I liked about this, because you kind of included a little bit from many of the previous runs that occurred, and brought in these characters that probably I really wished had continued and still got some shine on. Anything in particular why you brought back Niobe specifically?
I mean, Eve's a homie, and I liked her run. I really liked it because it gave us a window on working class Wakanda, right? We always see Wakanda, this place full, bounty of riches, nobody wants for anything. And, she managed to establish a working class city without breaking anything else in that fiction, right? It's just like, some motherfuckers just want other people's shit, or they want more shit for themselves. And that's why crime persists in this country. That's a near utopia. So I like that element of it. I really like Niobe's character. I thought this city being so far away from Berninzana, the capital where the palace is, like, is a nice way to explore it. What does the average person in Wakanda think about, T'Challa's comings and goings and being missing and whatnot? Like, I just want to go back there and use that place to get that perspective.
Right. And you bring it up in this. I swear to God, this looks like the Wakandan version of an Applebee's. I don't know why that is for me.
It's the restaurant where T'Challa worked during Eve's run, so it's the same.
Yeah.
it's a different visual interpretation. But yeah, it's like your local spot, where the auntie does all the classics, and the uncles come and hang out, and we're meeting some Wakanda uncles here, and they're talking about what's up with the king this time.
Yeah, I really give Dr. Ewing her props on her run. I don't think I think the only run that did as good an exploration of Wakandan peoples would be that of Don McGregor's.
Yeah.
Hers is second only to his, because I really love the fact that she got us to really get into who these people are, and with the working class aspect of it, I thought was an unexplored realm. We've seen the polar opposite. We've seen the Golden City Wakandans that are basically like futuristic, and we've seen the rural, we don't really like to follow technology Wakandans, but we haven't seen the stuff in the middle. We haven't really seen that, and her run was really cool with that. So getting this perspective, I thought, was a good, what's not the average, the median viewpoint of what T'Challa is to them. All right. This reference of stepping on the backs of others, I felt like you were trying to say something there that I wasn't quite what you're trying to say.
I mean, I don't want to like interpret everything in the story, but like I mentioned with E's approach to like the crime families in BT, is that like they have enough. Everybody in this country has enough, right?
Yeah.
But some people want to stunt. They want to, they have maybe fantasies of Scarface that they want to be playing out in the streets of this city. Like, it's about control over others, right? And in a place like Wakanda, I think it's certainly valid to think that people who aren't royalty want to be royalty, right? And how do you do that if you're them? You press power over people, right? You like you control their lives, where they can go, what they can do, and that makes you feel big. And that's what this moment kind of references. Like
I figured as much. I wanted to hear your perspective on it, because you make a good point. Wakanda, for all intents and purposes, is kind of like a utopia in many respects. If anything, you could sociologically say they don't really have the impoverished. There's no reason for people to be impoverished, so to speak, as we think of it, abject poverty, in terms of not having housing or energy or food. I think those basic needs are probably taken care of by the majority of people. So you really kind of lead to questions of oligarchy that I think even Ewing sort of explored with, the criminal class coming up to say, well, beyond have basic subsistence, we want to be, as you phrased it here, we want paradise. We want to be like the royals. We want to have all the nice things. And we're willing to step on our brothers at this level to get to it. Anyway.
Yeah, some people are. Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
Yeah, that's why I thought it was a very simple line, but if you're familiar with that run, it makes you think about it, and I thought that was kind of cool. And then we move on, but you set up what happens next.
That's part of what my mandate was to like set up the transitions between these stories. And like I did it for the most part without knowing what most people are going to be writing about.
Really,
I knew that. I knew that Zig was doing Blue Marvel, but and like maybe like subject you want to explore. The story that I had the most insight on while writing mine was Murewa's, and I love this story. We can use this as a segue if we want. The spiritual mysticism side of Black Panther is something that I think is underexplored. I'm so glad that him and Eder got to pay attention with this, and I was really happy to see Eder knock it out the park, because he was the artist on the vast majority of the Sam Wilson series that I did with Greg Pak last year, and I think he's just stepped up his game in such an incredible way. I really like that story, and I think they're all good.
Had you met Murewa before this project?
No. The whole reason I'm doing this is to holler at the homie and say hi.
Well, let's bring him on.
Yeah,
the Lord Chocolate. There we are. Murewa Ayodele, everybody. We should have like an applause. Producer, we need to come up with an applause thing. But anyway, we'll go. There we go.
I'm good.
How you doing, brother?
Doing good.
There it is.
I
Murewa Ayodele, Evan Narcisse. Murewa Ayodele.
Evan.
Yes, so glad to meet you. Finally. Doing the whole thing, huh?
We're doing the whole thing. That's how we do it here. We got to do it big. All right, so Murewa, you can go ahead and your story. It was a lot. You set the internet on fire, and it's so satisfying for me personally, because every month you and I do your show on Storm, and we've had to entertain, you and I both, commentary from various factions of people about why is Murewa Ayodele get to write a Black Panther 60th anniversary? It's a special. It's for us. It's us Black Panther fans. Why is he's a Storm writer and I don't even like the way he writes that. And why does he get to write that? He's not qualified. I literal receipts. He's not qualified to write Black Panther. Does a great job on Storm, but he's not qualified. We'll get into that later. But can you talk to us? I mean, you've obviously got to see the whole thing, everyone's stories and their anthology and what have you. And I wanted to get you guys' take. Cody Ziegler had, brought in the Blue Marvel, and hats off to the dude, man. I invited, unfortunately he wasn't able to make it, but I'm a big fan of Cody Ziegler for what he did over in Miles Morales. Another character who I absolutely love is the Blue Marvel. I consider him one of the most underutilized characters in Marvel's roster.
Mm-hmm.
But one of the criticisms that we often get, particularly after the movies came out, is the fact that Black Panther is one of the smartest men in the Marvel universe. I think he's technically 8th, is what he said in one particular story. But you don't really get to see the science aspect of it. And some people have even gone so far to say, well, since the movie came out, they've kind of put all the sciencey stuff on Shuri, and the fact that he's super smart is taking a back burner because you can't have, obviously, 2 smart people in the same family, because that would be crazy. But let me keep my comments to myself. But Cody leaned into that. He paired him with the other super smart big brain, the Blue Marvel, on what seemed like just 2 nerdy guys nerding out together, exploring science during the time of the Ultimates, which is like Super Science Ninja Team. You see him literally with a periscope. You see him with vials. You see him exploring. You see him talking sciencey stuff, and with a big smile on his face. How often do you see T'Challa smile? And what's the one thing that you see him smiling? Is doing science. That speaks volumes in and of itself. And you see him talking about one of the many joys I find in these surveys is our ability to exchange our deepest thoughts and fears. It's like his guard drops a little bit when he gets into the thing that he loves, which is science. And he's sharing it with his brother, who's also a science guy like him. This is one of the most poignant things I've read in a while. And I'm not just talking Black Panther. I'm just talking in general. Seeing 2 smart Black men who are incredibly powerful just nerd out, talk about science, talk about life, enjoy brotherhood. You don't get this in a lot of mainstream comics. You just don't. This was brilliantly done. And just when you thought it was going to get super nerdy,
you get some action.
Cody goes from we're just being super nerdy guys to let's tear some shit up, man.
Mhm.
They're fighting big bad beast, right? Just jumps right into action. I saw more Blue Marvel in these. I don't know how many pages this was in these several pages of story that I've seen
That was in
in
years.
the last 5 years in all comics.
Yeah.
Literally.
Mm-hmm.
I thought this was cool because this was actually an homage to Jungle Action. Look at, did I not put the page? I didn't have it. Crap. Well, there's another page. There's another panel here where you see Blue Marvel is in the maw of this beast, and it's right out of Jungle Action number 14, which I think is a cool homage. I don't know if Cody did that or if it's artist. Who's the artist? Oh, it's Aletha Martinez. Shout out to Aletha Martinez. Love seeing her work on Black Panther again. Then you see T'Challa pull out his spear of Bashinga. I think a few shows ago someone asked, "Well, where's his spear of Bashinga? How come we don't see him wield that anymore?" I just thought it was a really, really dope book. Really dope book. Who now? George's Genti. I can recognize his art here. Who wrote this part?
Me.
Evan.
You did. So this is more of your okay. I had one question about this first panel. Why does T'Challa have a bald spot in the back of his head?
That's not T'Challa. That's Casper.
Oh, that's Casper has a bald spot in the back of his head.
I think that's more rendering. Like, I don't think it was meant to be a bald spot, but George didn't, explain one way or another. Like, I think, look, everybody goes through some hair loss struggles. Like, he'll figure it out if that's what it is.
I'm just saying, the dudes live in Wakanda. They got to have something better than Rogaine, some like heart-shaped herb byproduct that grows the hair back. Anywho, great setup for Murewa's
Cool seeing the
story.
hippos.
What was that?
As a cool seeing the hippos. I love that.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
I did. That was not in the script, by the way. That's all George going off.
Really?
Oh, nice.
So, like the wind and thunder, I command T'Challa's love for his home is simply another force of nature. The elemental power of that love makes it too powerful to deny, despite any words that may seek to forbid it. It also allows him to wield fearsome energies unknown to the people who would exile him. Bars.
I mean, I can speak on that if that's what you want.
That's what I want, man. That's why it's blown up on the page. My man's dropping bars. Evans, come on, man.
Talk to me. T'Challa is subject to a new set of political realities, right? Now that the country is a constitutional democracy, right? So, but the point is, whether you exile him a lot or not, he's still got that love, commitment, duty to the unconquered realm, right? So you can say what you want about him, you can exile him, you can talk trash. Like, when it comes down to it, he's about that life. And the part where it's energies unknown to the people who would exile him, like, that was segueing again into Murewa's story, because it's like he's doing stuff to protect his place you don't even know about. You think it's just like conference rooms and superhero fights. He's fighting, monsters, in a whole other reality connected to the realm that you guys will never know about. He's putting his sanity, his soul on the line, and y'all still want to talk about him. You run your mouth on him. Take him to a paradigm where, like, it's still not fully acknowledging what all he does for the place, right? So that's what that was. Yeah. And I think Storm and Casper were great characters to have this conversation, because Storm was like, yeah, y'all don't, I've seen the man in private, I've seen these struggles, and you tried to be him for a minute, and it's a way that like he's putting this whole country and its culture on his back.
Yeah, the good thing about the time Storm and Black Panther were married is she got to know more about him than probably anyone, as evidenced by issues where she was able to invade Wakanda and steal the sword during Marauders 13, because of that knowledge that she gained from being so close, knowing his security and what have you, knowing the stories and myths. And then the fact that intimacy shows that she knows another side of him, another power set that he has that no one else knows, that has previously never been shown. I thought that was really cool. I thought that was a really cool thing to add to the mythos. And here's the segue that we have here to Murewa Ayodele's story. Murewa,
drawn by Eder Messias, like who's again.
The two of you together just created some magic.
Yeah, Eda went crazy on these pages. I think he spent so much time on them because he just wanted it to be perfect. According to him, Black Panther,
man.
Yeah, I think Black Panther is his favorite character, I think, if not one of his favorite characters. So he just wanted something that represented his love for T'Challa. Yeah. So it splits off the page.
I have to warn you, Murewa. We're gonna have to do a deep dive on this because you laid it in thick. The verbiage, the storytelling, the Easter eggs. Chef's kiss, man.
Thanks. Thank you.
Let me show y'all what this cat was cooking. He's been working on this for a while. Throughout all the hate, he shouldn't be writing this, he's laughing his ass off because he knew he was cooking. He knew he was working with fire, and then he finally got to drop it out.
When I got the email from Will Moss that would I like to work on Black Panther, I actually laughed. I was laughing hysterically because I was like, okay. I don't know how to explain the emotion because number one, it's an honor. I love this, but I'm like, oh man, a lot of people are going to get really, really upset about this. But I loved every moment of writing this story. I loved every moment of it. It's fun. I think originally it was supposed to be 8 pages, but I kept sending email to Will that please make it 10. Please make it 10. I really need 10, And then I think he came back. He said, I'm not sure, maybe one of the creative teams canceled. So now we have more pages. So I was like, thank you. I'm sorry someone canceled on you, but I'm happy we have extra pages, So yeah.
Their loss, our gain.
Yeah.
Let's jump into this, man. I'm just laughing because I remember people DMing me saying, "Are you sure this guy can pull this off?" I'm like, trust the man. Let's see what he cooks. Wakanda is ancient. Its deities are primordial, congenital. Its customs and traditions are passed down across many generations, unchanged, unwavering, uncompromised. Even your setup is dramatic.
Yeah, I think the statues are also even a throwback to there are some things that also shows. Yeah, the 2 statues there. There are little things that also show the scenes of Wakanda of some sort. For example, in Marvel continuity, Bast is an Egyptian deity, and the white gorilla, I think Gekri, is an Orisha, who should naturally be the native god of the Wakandans, but his worship was banned, by the Panther tribe, limited to Umbaku's tribe, the only guys that worship. So it's also showing that, you can see the statue of the white gorilla. It's not white, its head is broken,
Mm,
while the bar stone is well maintained, black and everything. So it's showing that
decorated.
yeah, um even the dragonfly that's there, it's a species that's also called like a widow, something widow, hinting a little at the fact that, currently T'Challa is without a bride, yeah, different things. That's It's like the Marvel comics has taken away his marriage, so there are lots of visual Easter eggs and stuff that I put in there just to tell some visual stories for those that might be able to catch it, and just cool visuals for those that don't.
Someday you're gonna have to show me your notes that you give to your artist, man, because the amount of detail that each one of these artists do when they take your script is incredible. Um, there is no wasted space on the panels of Murewa Ayodele story. That I can promise you. So throughout all the
And
changes, all the traditions, there's always the Black Panther. You
yeah,
you upped the game by adding to the Black Panther's mythos, adding to T'Challa's mythos, by letting us know of a right and tradition and power set that has previously not ever been documented. We have this is something I've always said, that Don McGregor introduced a mystical side of Wakanda, a primordial side of Wakanda, a savage land, so to speak, of Wakanda, that very few writers ever go back and talk about and bring up again. And it's this great unexplored area that I'd really like to see more of. And you dived right in. You did the two things that I've been bitching about for years, which is I want to see the mystical and I want to see the savage land type stuff, and you put it all together into one storyline.
yeah,
Talk about who this character is to the left and why is T'Challa dressed like that.
it's been almost like, for a lack of better word, a personal gripe of mine that we don't see more of the mystical side in Wakanda. Um, and I think, I don't know how to say this, but it's Wakanda being a utopia, being a nation that represents our desires, because a lot of black creators has added to it, our desires as black people of what we think, a land untouched by, colonialism and slavery and corruption would be, and I think in our desire to represent that, we may have also lost some of the things that make Africa Africa. Sometimes we show structures. This is no spite or anything. It's good, but sometimes we show structures to show that, oh, this place is developed. The skyscrapers look like Western structures. And the technology sometimes look Western, but we've been seeing more and more things, starting to look like the way we would do it without, some of those influences. And I think the way Africa is, and some of my own personal experiences, we we tend not to let go of some of these things that make us uniquely us, and that is, our herbs, when it comes to medicine. I've been seeing more and more. My girlfriend's mother is kind of like, for a lack of better word, like, an herb specialist, and I see some of these things that people pay, millions for in at the doctors and everything, and she just has this, little thing that she would just mix and voila, and it's like, oh, so we had this cure for these things, and we don't know about them from our schools, we don't know about them from this, we have these plants and these fruits and this stuff, and I don't know how to pronounce those names, and then Yoruba, why weren't we taught all these things, so it's, if there's a tribe that was untouched by colonialism and all the stuff, they wouldn't have that problem. So they would still be very much in tune with the ancestors, with spirituality and all these connections. And I wanted to bring that to the forefront of, Wakanda and the Black Panther himself. That, yeah, we understand the technology, we get it, that's, well, yeah.
Uh-oh.
I'll switch my power now.
That's how you know you have real Black people problems. Murewa's switching generators. He's got a generator that he uses to do these lives, and sometimes they go out and he's got to switch generators. But yeah, I mean, Evan, you made a comment when we were off screen about something that Murewa talked about, how every writer of Black Panther has sort of put their imprint on the character, added that Black perspective to it. Some of the most famous writers on this character have been Black. I don't remember how many ones before him have ever actually been from Africa. I don't recall any other ones before him.
I mean, I could be wrong. I feel like Nnedi Okorafor is probably the first.
Oh, that's right. That's right. That's right.
But yeah, like
there haven't been a lot, certainly.
Yeah, Tochi did.
Ochibuchi,
yes,
yeah.
Tochi did a Wakanda focused storyline in his Sam Wilson run.
Yeah.
I don't remember if Tochi was born on the continent or not, but I think it's those three. I think it's Murewa, Tochi, and Nnedi.
Yeah, it's amazing that we have this character that was.
And look, literally... before we get too far afield, like everything that Murewa was just saying, like I'm so for it. Like we need African folkloric traditions inside this character, inside this character's mythos. To me, this character is like a site of like cross-cultural connection, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like my parents are Haitian. Yoruba spiritual practices got, syncretized into voodoo there. I recognize some of this stuff, like from digging into my own history. So like we can talk about like different modalities that creators like move through, but to me, like Afrofuturism, and I don't want to like get into like the taxonomy of the different isms, but like it's people outside the continent trying to connect back to the continent, like through storytelling, through creativity, and there's stuff that happens on the continent. There's a great video game that just came out called Relooted, which is about stealing African artifacts out of museums and repatriating them back to the homeland. And I'm like, yeah, let's all of this stuff, because colonialism as a century long practice, like it's too big to reckon with from any one perspective. We need all of these perspectives to be talking to each other, just so we can know about each other, other than the things that like colonizers and oppressors tell us about ourselves. Does that make sense?
It makes perfect sense. It makes perfect sense. Shout out to Vida Ayala and the I forget the two brothers' names who wrote Bronze Faces, who did that same story you're talking about, where they're repatriating African artifacts. But yeah, I mean, there's a term that. What'd you say?
Shof and Shob Kobka.
That's what it is. Thank you.
They're not the ones that wrote the video game, but they have a similar story with Boom Studios.
Very, very similar story. There was a comment you made, Evan, about, and I was talking about this, the fact that we have this character who's beloved and the most well recognized black superhero at this point throughout the world, along with Storm, and he was invented by two white Jewish guys. But the contributions of a lot of black writers, I think you phrased it as we've in essence colonized this character. And I thought that was a very unique way of looking at it. I know you said
I can't take credit
like
for that. That's John Jennings,
John
professor,
Jennings.
comics
John
creator. That's him. But yeah, like I've said this before many times. Anytime somebody black touches this character, the possibility space expands. Right? We can go back to Billy Graham. The way he drew those jungle action pages were just utterly beautiful. Like, this is 1970s Black is Beautiful era. And he's like, no, yeah, I'm just big old afros and curves and fashion and all of this stuff. It's an African American's vision of Africa, but it's still like rendered with love and yearning. And he was probably sneaking stuff in there that like his editors didn't know. But yeah, this has been a place. The Black Panther as a character has been a place for us to put our love for each other, and the distant family members that we don't know, and right. Like, again, I'm here to talk to Murewa, like, it's not offense to y'all or anybody else, but like, yeah, like this is part of the work too, in my opinion.
Yeah. So Murewa, so tell us about what we see on this page.
Okay. Another fact about Eda, I think Eda is Brazilian, and he's also very familiar with some of all these Yoruba mythology.
Right.
The Orishas he was particularly drawing from, in illustrating this was Shango and Oya, basically seeing T'Challa as the Shango while he was on Earth, who was a king, and Oya is weather goddess, bride. So that was, something was particularly pulling from. But
that sounds like a future storyline for the Storm book. I'm just going to throw that out there, but go ahead.
Yeah. But for this, it's also me trying to, for my own personal understanding, trying to make sense of, why Wakanda hasn't fallen all these centuries. I'm trying to remember. I just forgot her name. That wrote Black Panther Blood Hunt.
Sherilyn Eaton. Yes. Yeah.
Sherilyn Eaton kind of gives a little explanation of why Wakanda has stayed strong for all these years, and it's because of
protection from the Orishas and Bast, and
the union of the Enyads and the Orishas. While I'm also coming from the perspective of the reason why Wakanda stayed strong for all these years is because of the Black Panther. So, because we know the Black Panther existed since 1 million BC because of Jason Aaron. So trying to make sense of that the Black Panther is the reason why Wakanda is still strong. And when it comes to kings in Africa, especially in the Yoruba tribe, they don't operate alone. There's usually like a council of advisors, and here I'm showing, the spiritual advisor when it comes to, the secret rites, and that's why this character was, invented, to play that role and see that dynamics, how it works. That yes, the king is supreme, but it's not in a tyrannical way that it's sometimes presented, to us in a lot of media. It's a lot of push and pull and a lot of balance, while the Yoruba nation was even untouched by colonialism, before they were touched by colonialism, we already had parliamentary rule, where there were, ministers and senators and, that's in the parliament, and then there's the executive, that's the legislative, and then the executive, which is the Alafin, who's the king, And even when the Alafin is not performing his duties, they can impeach him. But in those scenarios, impeaching a king means him committing ritual suicide. So, things like that were already in place of checks and balances to avoid, corruption and corrupt leaders, which are things that are now common now because we're no longer using those sort of rules and government styles. We're trying to emulate, styles that don't necessarily work for us. So yeah.
I know.
So
I
this is
noticed in
just
I noticed in this outfit he has on, you're not seeing like the souped up vibranium suit that he normally wears. You don't see him with a bunch of vibranium blades. You see him with these bone blades. It looks like from probably some beast that he's vanquished and carved into additional weapons.
yeah.
Can you talk about that?
In my canon, in my head canon is we see him later riding a giant panther.
We're gonna get to that.
This is probably the jawbone of a previous panther, of a previous giant panther.
Oh, okay, nice.
Yeah. And seeing it, I said it online. This is also taken from African Judaism, and in African Judaism, when you're going to war, the warriors have a lot of talisman and charms that they wear all over their bodies.
I see.
So some are passed down from generations. My father gave this to me, protected him during this war to protect me. Some are new, you acquire them. Some are taken from your enemies. So they have magical properties basically to protect you, spiritually. So, taking lots of that, and let's just have a little panther skull by the shoulder, So, yeah, but a lot of
How much of this was in the script, Murewa?
What was in the script was I wanted the face paint. I wanted the face paint. I showed the 1 million BC Panther. I wanted some of those bony vibes. I think I showed maybe some African warrior kind of thing. Let's see if we can have a mix of that. So it is separate entities. So Eda found a way to like combine it in a fun way and gave us like 5 variations and asked us to pick one.
No, yeah, that dude's a designer. He loves doing that
Yeah.
stuff. Yeah,
that's incredible. The name Fano, how do you pronounce that? Phanosinipe?
Famosimpe. It's
Phanosinipe.
Very good question by the lurker. Is Phanosinipe a student of Zaravara? That's the
Zaravari. Yeah.
Zaravari. That's the mystic T'Challa is often used when they have various issues that pop up.
In my head, it's more of different schools. It happens here too. Yeah, there are people that are like worshippers of Shango, worshippers of Ogun. People, there are different aspects of spirituality and one you focus on. So I see him as this is his own duty. Famosimpe is taken from my own family name. My great grandfather separated from I'm trying to see if it's from my grandmother's side or my grandfather's side. Either of them had it's my grandfather's side. So my great grandfather separated from the family and became Ayodele, which you know me as, because they became Christians, But before then, it was Famosepe. It basically means I would worship Ifa for a very long time. So Ifa is the Yoruba religion. that has to do with divination, with Orunmila and all this stuff. So yeah, it's a name that was changed because our religion changed. So I used that name, just to put a little bit of myself there.
That's outstanding, man. That's a cool backstory. Is there some significance to this little mouse? Is it a mouse or a rat?
It's called a pouched rat. I gave a little story about this in Storm 2.
Yeah.
There's a saying in here. It's a wonderful snack. You can put it in your stew. It's in here, by the way. They are big, as you can see from there. So yeah, it's in here. They have a significance because they are burrowing rats. So they go deep into the ground, they make holes and everything. But there's a offer, which is basically poetry used for spiritual actions. And basically what the thing says is the pouched rat has the command of the land. So sometimes if you also want to command things, you say the way the pouched rat has the command of the land, the universe give me command of this thing. So let's say I wanted to command the hair or something, or the winds. I'd say, the way the pouched rat has command of the land,
Yeah.
give me command of the sky, and things like that. And sometimes some parts of the rat are cut to make spells, sometimes the heart, sometimes the tail, and things like that.
Eclectic asks, did T'Challa slay the panther that the skull was acquired from, or did one of his ancestors slay it? In your head canon.
Okay. In my head canon, the giant panther is not a separate being, but is T'Challa as well. So if there's a skull of a previous panther, that's a part of a previous ancestor.
Wow.
So he's basically wielding a former Black Panther.
I love that. All right. So there's this reference here. He's from I'm not just gonna butcher the guy's name.
Just say Ifa or something, but we get
Famosnipe says,
Yeah,
a little
perfect.
annual coin in your most loyal subjects' pockets, and the king has the renewed favor of the Orisha. Wakanda forever, my king. He goes, we're bordered by corruption. Sinope, do not let the rot seep into our ways. Now, there was a whole storyline where Wakanda fell off during, one particular writer who I'm not going to talk about. But the fact remains, T'Challa was ousted as king. And we know from the Imperial storyline that T'Challa's back as king of Wakanda, and certainly emperor of the intergalactic empire for the moment. But there's this reference here about a little annual coin in your most loyal subjects' pockets, and the king has a renewed favor of the Orishas. We also know from the Ta-Nehisi Coates run, there was a point made that the Orishas had kind of left Wakanda. They showed up to see the big battle at the end of Coates' run, but they had left Wakanda, and they never really the Wakandans never really knew why. Does this statement tie into that? And if so, how?
Not necessarily, maybe. This story takes place before all that. This story takes place during Regina Odlin's run. So those events had not taken place.
I see. All right.
So this is still a T'Challa that is very protective of his nation, of taking on, corrupt ways and, things like that.
This is what I'm talking about with you and bars, man. The war generals, the ministers, the priests, and the many other distinguished personalities, but they are all of them advisors only to the king. You have heard of how Wakanda smashed the invasion of the mad titan Thanos. You have heard of how it is the wealthiest nation on the planet. The shelter of the people, their fiscal well-being, and their spiritual safety are the sole responsibilities of the sovereign. You've heard of its technological advancements and expansion into a galactic empire. But what of its ghouls and goblins? What of its wraiths and dragons? What of its wicked spirits and treacherous demons? Its seductive sirens and murderous hags? Man's out here spitting bars, son. Come on. Man, you just blessing us right now, son.
Oh,
Come on.
thank you.
Freaking
It's the-
poetry.
It's the dark fantasy influences.
Oh my God. I literally was like, holy shit, what the this guy just right. Deep within the Tashawn forest, a labyrinth named Tabura Obora draws all mystical threats to itself. Within it, these imprisoned dark things are forced to wander aimlessly in frustration. What is the Tubu Obora? There's no random references with you.
Yeah. The previous page that we talked about, I think, for example, with the Yoruba kings, which I've said, you have the Iyaloja, who is like in charge of the finance, which is usually a woman. You have the person called Otun and Osi, which basically just means right and left. And you have the Ifa priest, and you have all those other things. And as influential as all those people are and everything, they are all just, there to advise the king. The king always has the final say. Just wanted to emphasize how, monarchy kind of works here and everything. Going to Tubu Ebora. Tubu in Yoruba means, I think there are multiple languages in Wakanda, but the three that I know of being referenced to be the most used is the fictional Wakanda language, the Yoruba language, and the Hausa language.
Hausa, yeah.
Occasionally Swahili enters there, but I don't think it's as widely spoken as those three.
Yeah.
So Sohon Forest is Hausa, because most of the locations in Wakanda are named in Hausa, like Bernan Zana, Bernan this thing. So
Yeah.
but when that comes to like other specific things, it now switches to Yoruba. So Tubu Ebora just means prison of evil, not necessarily evil spirits, but spiritual prison, something like that. Prison of the spirits.
A ghost prison.
Yeah.
And then when I was a kid back in the 1980s, saw this character called He-Man. He-Man had his battle cat. And years later, become a Black Panther fan, I remember seeing the battle cat again and saying, damn, why doesn't my boy the Black Panther have his own battle cat? I literally used to say this. Like, I remember seeing the toy come out for the battle cat and like, I could spray paint that black and put a T'Challa action figure on it. And T'Challa would have the battle. And you, sir, have now made canon. Let me say that into the mic. Canon that T'Challa has a battle cat. Please tell me this battle cat has a name.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No,
I'm sorry, I didn't give it a name because in my head, it's also T'Challa. It's a reference to a Juniper story from Ridley's Run. It was a backup story in issue 3, I think, where T'Challa was going to the spirit realm, and for a brief second, it turned into a big panther and then turned back into human. So I
Yeah.
was like, okay, what if in the gateway into this place he can split, where he rides himself, no steed is magnificent enough to ride for T'Challa to ride, except T'Challa himself.
Yeah, say that.
Message.
Wow. Let me ask you a question, Murewa. During this entire time in this realm, this ghost realm, this spirit realm, he never takes off his mask.
Okay, I think my network had a little issue there. I didn't hear Evan.
During this time that he's in the spirit realm, he's always has his mask on. We don't see him without his mask. When he's in the spirit realm, he has all these powers and abilities. Does he grow fangs?
Nice one. I
had to throw that in there, man.
Our
Stormwatch fans knows what I'm referencing. All right.
I was desperately looking for a scene to show his teeth, but no natural place came up.
Dennis Cowan.
The story needed. Yeah, the story needed
something to consider.
The story needed to focus more on the eyes. Yeah, the story needed more to focus on the eyes. So I focused more on the eyes.
So we go from mystical T'Challa, which I've been praying for, to the next thing that I wanted, Savage World Wakanda. I know this is the spirit realm. I get that, but it's still kind of cool.
Yeah, it's very cool. This panel was so funny to me because I think I named each of those monsters that will be there. The ones in the shadow are like the mollusks. There's the hate dragon. The giant reptile is Nikinaka. I forgot the name I gave them. They are hounds, but they have the face of mandrills. Yeah, mandrill hounds. Those are personal creations of mine. And then there are the ghost shamans at the base. And I didn't think there would be this many. In my head, it's just like, just a couple, And when the pages came in, I saw the shamans and they were just like an army of them. I was like, oh my God. And I was like, okay, I like this. It makes it even seem
Eder Messias went crazy on this panel.
Yeah. Look at all the swords. Like it just goes like the coloring covers them a little. If you see them in the inks, those shamans were so many.
Wow. This is so cinematic, man.
Yeah.
And the thing about choices like that is that that's extra work that the artist is choosing to do.
Choosing.
Like,
yeah.
That just shows you the dedication that somebody like Eder brings to this kind of stuff. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. That's why I had to highlight this, man. This is incredible work. You got to show respect for this. This is storytelling. This is absolute story. You don't have to notice. There's hardly any panels of speech here. You don't need it. You don't need it.
Yeah,
the visual is the whole story. It's incredible.
Mm-hmm. And that's what you get when the artist is also a big fan of the character.
T'Challa has these other powers. I love the crown. You're obsessed with the glowy floating crown now. That's a thing that you do. I love that you threw that into T'Challa. Those bone blades that he made are now glowing. I'm not certain of what the artist did that on purpose. Did you give him notes to do that? And then he's surrounded. You said before that the panther skull was a part of him. It's an ancestor or something to that effect. And he's surrounded by other panthers in this realm of the spirit realm. So it makes sense that the king of the dead would be able to summon other panther spirits to help him in the spirit realm. Just so much going on in this. Can you talk about this?
I think with the first panel, this is the Big Panther T'Challa, going, ape shit on the ape, and T'Challa dropping bars, and we've seen T'Challa, with for some unexplained reason, suddenly surrounded by Panthers that are supporting him and fighting on his behalf. So I'm like, okay, I think we can do that with like, Ghost Panthers and stuff too. And like you said, I'm obsessed with like, I think it just pops off the page,
It looks
just
cool.
gooey
It
visual.
looks hella cool.
Yeah. Storm has the old flaming hair with this, crown, this thing. And here I'm like, let T'Challa's own come off all regal, T'Challa already looks badass, let's give him regality. While Storm is already regal, let's give her a crown that screams badassery, And so these are the places where I start saying that, it starts oozing, this spiritual energy, So it was the artist's choice to make it that it's the weapons that start glowing first.
In your head, does he have like a power up when he's in this realm? Like, what is does his powers change? Is he more powerful? Does he tap into what type of mystical energies he's tapping into?
His normal, he goes into that realm with his normal abilities, but the more he stays there, the more he taps into that energy from Bast, and the more powerful he gets, but also the more painful it is on his body, as you will see as it goes.
So, needless to say, he makes short work in epic fashion. T'Challa's, a noted master of many martial arts, a warrior, etc. But the way that he is depicted here, it's not about him being this precise martial arts strategist type dude. This is T'Challa going beast mode. I mean, he's just this is savage T'Challa. This is like the closest you see to him going into a Wolverine berserker mode. Can you talk about that? Because I know you love the brutality. You're a classic guy when it comes to these type of scenes.
We only had like few, or I only had like few parts of what you say, but I think I can get what you're saying. Yeah, we get to see the brutality of how T'Challa fights. It's something that we've known about Wakandans, how they fight. They fight with such brutality, even though, but despite that, there is still precision. I don't think the panel is here. You can see how he was fighting the small guys first, but then he transitions to going for the big guys, so that the big guys, when they fall on the small guys. So he's still, while the brutality is still there, the intelligence is still there. You can see him, So those are visual ways where I just show that to show that he is brutal, he's precise and yet raw, but still very strategic.
Until there's nothing but bodies left. I haven't seen this level of brutality from T'Challa since the invasion of Wakanda by the Skrulls. This was kind of badass to see, man. This was a badass scene.
Yeah, Marvel doesn't like their heroes killing things, so I always try to find an exit strategy, things that they can kill that Marvel will be like, okay.
And just so you know, Murewa Ayodele critics, what is the panel that he says after you see him body all of these creatures? Weaponized by the greatest tactical mind in the world.
Yeah, I didn't say second or third or anything. Take that, Scott Summers fans.
You know what we call that here at Black Comic Lords? Canon. Enjoy it. It's his gift to all of us.
I entertained? Are you not entertained? Is this not why you are here?
That's Murewa Ayodele after he wrote this story. All right. So this is where I had some questions for you. I talked before about, as an aside on a personal level, the trials and tribulations of being a writer in such high profile books. There's no way you can avoid criticism. And not to go into detail because it's not worthy of it, but there's a lot of pressure involved in writing these types of characters on these types of books. And you have this whole page. Even T'Challa is not immune to the sting of hatred and abhorrence. A malevolence dragon. I think you referred to him on the previous page as a hate dragon or something like that. A physical manifestation of all the loathsome envy, spiteful animosity, wicked desires hurled toward the nation of Murewa Ayodele in the hopes of a terrible misfortune befalling her. Fellow nations on the continent who wish it were they who were blessed with the wealth-creating vibranium, those who believe that the people of Wakanda's complexion, that's black folk, know their place and recognize their betters, those who do not seek rest but work tirelessly toward the nation's ruin. The dragon's inferno burns hot, defeat beckons. Previous kings sealed such monstrosities away for a more skilled successor to face. That would be T'Challa, the best of the best, the king of kings, the warrior of warriors amongst Wakandans, the greatest tactician in the world. Talk about this exposition that you have, this venting that you had here, Murewa.
This part, I'm so happy none of it was cut or anything, and Eda left a lot of space for it. It's very important to me because it's coming from different levels, Let's start from level 1. Doing McDuffie, once famously, analyzed, the difference in when you're writing a white character and when you're writing a black character. Said, if you write a story where, Daredevil finds a way to beat Thor, the writer is praised, the character is praised, like, how was he able to figure it out to be able to outsmart Thor in this incredible way, and everything.
Speak on it.
Once you do that with, let's say, Black Panther, it's just power scaling, it's just nonsense. Yeah, it's plot armor, it's different things, and you get all those, criticisms, if you have a cast that is all white, it's good. If you have a cast of, a team book that
more than three.
Yeah. The rule of 3.
Yeah. Once it's 3 or more, it's like, it's a
black
DEI.
book.
It's a black book.
Black book. The word now is DEI, and so different things. So it's on that level. It's something that we see a lot of Black Panther fans. This is not the second level. We see a lot of Black Panther fans, face this too, every time trying to defend their character, because you see, genuine hate and unwarranted criticisms on the character that Black Panther fans feel are like, oh, Tony Stark has done things in the past, and it's like we either forgive him or we just say it's the writer that did that, but when it's a black character, it is especially, T'Challa, it's like, oh, this character did this. All of a sudden, when it's something bad, the character did this. When it's something good, the good thing only happened because of the writer,
Yeah.
And when it comes to other characters, it's flipped, When it's good, it's like, do you see that badass thing that Thor did? But when it's something bad, did you see what that writer made Thor do? It's flipped, when it's black characters, to other characters. So it's me also speaking on, what Black Panther fans have to always face in the outside world, And the third level is in the Marvel universe, as a reflection of the world outside our window, If Wakanda actually existed in Africa, it would face all these things. It would face criticism and hatred from people that already hate Africa and Africans, and also face hatred and criticisms from fellow Africans.
Yes.
So it's going to be from both ends of the, both
Spectrum. Yeah.
out
Mhm.
that they're going to be facing that hatred. So it also works in universe. And the fourth level is as a black creator. As a black creator, you get a lot of pushbacks and vile hatred that is not warranted.
Even from your own.
Yes. If you write too many black characters, you are the black writer. That is no good. If you don't write enough black characters, you are called, the animal that digs to the trash. So so many things, and you face all that, and all these things are there. And then there's also the fifth level, which is the personal level. I have actual people that, sometimes I get that feeling inside me, and then later I found the proof, that there are actual Discord groups, where people go to spread rumors about me and lies, where people go to organize themselves to review bomb my work,
Yeah.
um, different things, and it's like, why, why? And so it's all these things are things that I personally face myself as, a creator, and it's all on that level, and it's me not just spilling the pain and everything. It's just trying to seek strength in the character. Many times there are lots of battles that people don't understand that black creators face. You see some of all
Preach
these.
on it,
Yeah.
brother. Keep going.
Yeah. Sometimes you wonder, like, oh, some of all these, other creators are doing these bold moves and big moves. Why aren't, these black creators doing all these things, And it's because they don't want to do what T'Challa does, They're like, okay, maybe somebody else would do, we will be able to break this threshold. Because once you try to do that, the level of hate you get is not worth your mental health, is not worth the paycheck you get at the end of the day. Um Imagine if it was a black creator that killed, a popular character that imagine it was a black creator that broke up, Peter Parker and Mary Jane. Would people say it was editorial mandate, or just put it on the black creator? Some of all those bold moves that creators make, that sometimes they risk, it's all risks when you make bold moves.
Yes.
And many of them work, and it's like, yeah, it works. Look at Civil War, making Tony Stark and Captain America, who are best friends, fights on opposite ends of each other. It's a big risk, But if just writing a story of them being friends, you already face a lot of hate and so much, harassment. Would you be bold enough to tell that story of them fighting against each other? So then you say, oh, these black creators are not that, they're not making big moves, they're not doing this, they're not doing that. And it's sometimes you just want to just write a simple, small story with your own original characters because you don't just want the hate. I see people say a lot of times that, oh, every time a new Black Panther writer comes in, he just introduces his own characters and just tells the story and leaves. He doesn't play with the previous mythos. It's not that, I don't think it's not that they don't want to play game ball with other creators and everything, but it's just, oh, if you do something too much with something that maybe Christopher Priest wrote, what level of hate are you going to get? Oh my God, he ruined this, all this level of trust that, other
as
writers
somebody,
get that you don't get.
yeah, as somebody who used a Christopher Priest creation in the framing story, there's something I thought about, I was nervous about, definitely seen some hate crop up about it, but you call back, we're talking ancestors now, right? You call back to your ancestors. Priest is an ancestor of ours on this book, and you want to honor look, he doesn't need my help to be connected to this character, but it's like, okay, part of what comics is, it's quilt making, right? Is passing the baton, right? So there's stuff that you're doing in your story that's in conversation with Ta-Nehisi. There's stuff that Ta-Nehisi is doing that's in conversation with McGregor and Priest and McDuffie, and even Kirby, I made a point of putting Jakara in Rise of the Black Panther because I'm like, you know what? Let's see if this works, right? And we don't do this for clicks to troll fans. We're fans ourselves, but I think people don't understand what it's like to be staring at your computer screen at 1 o'clock in the morning, trying to figure out how to make a scene work, how to push things. They don't know the work that goes inside of the work. And, the part where you're talking about T'Challa having to bear these burdens for the sake of his country, I can tell it's you looking in the mirror, brother. Yeah. And I appreciate you for it. I hopefully everybody else does too, but yeah.
Yeah, it's a lot of pressure where you already have to think of the story and everything, and every time you want to come up with something, you're like, I wonder what the backlash is going to be on this.
And even when you try to free yourself from that, it's still there. It's always going to be there.
Yeah, and that hinders the kind of stories you can tell, So yeah. And I've seen a lot of people say this, for example, which it's something that pains me to the bones. People saying things like, oh, black male writers have done the worst jobs on Black Panther, and it's like,
yeah,
that's been circling a lot lately. And
so it's not like I'm saying this.
I'm with you.
I'm not cooking this up. And it's like, imagine that statement already coming from Black Panther fans, from Black fans, and you are a black male writer. Where do you even start from with that pressure already?
Yeah.
We got to have a group therapy session offline at some point.
Well, I didn't bring some of these subjects up because I wanted to give any validation to these people. But, Murewa, I'm familiar with the journey you've had on this, so I thought it was important to bring up. But I wanted to bring it up in the sense of demonstrating and showing how great, how fantastic a writer you are, how thorough a researcher you are, how thoughtful you are in the process in whatever you do. There's not a single panel that you look in a Murewa Ayodele book and have it not have meaning. And people need to recognize that. And the best way to shut up haters is to not address them, is to just keep shining. And that's what you did on this book. And that's what I wanted to demonstrate and show to people tonight. So let's continue with and finish up what happened on this book, if we would. So he we see that his power levels at this point. You said the longer he's in this realm, the more powerful he gets, the more infused he is with mystical energy from Bast.
Yes.
I was remiss. He actually did take his mask off. He just doesn't smile, so you can't see the fangs. But you could still throw it in there. Anyway,
Those,
he comes out.
Those two previously said were a reference to Muhammad Ali.
Yeah,
I think is the first one where he was on his hands and legs were the first one where he lost. Joe Frazier,
where he
I think.
bounces.
And,
Where he leans back.
This one is the second one that he won, where he dodged, a punch, the step back.
The rope-a-dope, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. How did I miss that? That's
so there
cool.
were references to him.
Did you specifically tell him to make those references? Did you tell him to make those references?
Yes, they were in the script with images and all. Even the little pose here, and everything is from one of his posters he did.
Yeah.
Very famous Ali poster. I know the one you're talking about.
Yeah.
After the battle's done, he's exiting the mystical realm,
and he still has those flowers that we saw in the opening scene came from.
What do the flowers represent?
I'm not sure myself. I'm not sure I remember, but the flowers themselves are they're a popular flower. I think they grew here too, but they're a popular flower in South Africa. The royal horticulture kind of it's my script, but it's a long distance. I wanted to choose a flower that represented royalty and was native to Africa, especially an area that Wakanda would be on the map if it actually existed.
All right. What just happened? Oh, we got a super chat. What inspired T'Challa's swords?
Their jawbones. It's something that I've always had in mind for a very, very long time that I don't know exactly where they came from. It might be a little bit from the Bible, Samson.
With the jawbone of an ass. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I fought a lot of people with the jawbone of an ass. Dotun has played around with some of those visuals before. I've seen some people play with some of those visuals on Pinterest and different things, it's a visual that's been in my head for at least a decade.
I need you to tell, as an aside, tell your buddy Dotun Okande that I'd love to see a version of this version of T'Challa by him. Because
it's going to be so sick.
That would be crazy.
Make it
this animal, the rat mouse, is it being imbued with energy? Is it being killed by the energy?
It's dead.
It's dead. It's killed by the energy. All right. Well, all this happens during it says the year she was queen. I guess they were married for a year. She was queen of Wakanda. I could bear no thought of the love of my life carrying such a burden alone. I chose to look through his eyes. I chose to share in his burden. What is the meaning behind I chose to look through his eyes?
It's basically understand the person's perspective, put yourself in the person's shoes.
Okay.
But I also wanted to play around with canon, and canonically and independently, both T'Challa and Storm have cat's eyes.
Mm-hmm.
So I wanted to play with that.
You're
one
bad,
is
bad,
blue,
bad,
one is
man.
brown. Yeah. And I think I said this on the internet, anytime Storm, approaches T'Challa, not always though, she usually comes from the skies, again, something like, the Oya thing,
Mm.
the thunder goddess, descending. But this time I wanted to go with, some of the stories that, we've heard from, either African myths and sometimes English myths, where the king is married to a river goddess or a
Yamea, or
siren,
yeah.
yeah, or a siren or this thing, and all the stuff. So here, um, instead of taking inspiration from Oya, which is usually the one that's linked with storm, I go with Oshun. So and Oshun is a river goddess, so she
Yeah.
comes from the river instead. She doesn't fly; she comes from the river. And one of the reasons why I chose this is because Oshun is known, which is the role she's playing here. Oshun is known as a comforter, a nurturer, a
Mm.
caregiver, and that's the role she's playing in this story. So she's not coming as a warrior here. She's coming as, someone that's going to take care of the warrior. So yeah.
You even have the sort of nautical adornments on Storm, where she's got the little seashells on her.
Yeah. The our clothes, which helped us tremendously. I wanted to make a reference to the wedding, dress,
Yeah.
and so I asked, Eda to make a few changes. And the wedding dress actually looks like Oshun's clothes, so it was something that just made sense because the crown is something you see more on Oshun than Oya.
Doesn't Ocean also usually portrayed in yellow or gold?
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. That's dope, man. You put a lot of thought into this. And then we end with this beautiful pose. I love this page. Tutorial forever. Let me slip that in there. I chose to love it.
Yeah.
Shout out
And,
to your whole team, man. This was a delight to read, man.
yeah. And
I have
Asaliwa Moyo is an endearment in Swahili used, by lovers.
shout out to I for a long time I considered myself the greatest Black Panther fan on the planet until this brother Otis Arterberry showed up and showed me his collection and his fandom, and I had to immediately tuck my chain in and show respect to this brother. And he says that you've made him a fan. So believe me when I tell you this is high praise from literally the greatest Black Panther fan on the planet. He even outshines me. I'll see you in a couple. I see you tomorrow, man. All right. So, you mentioned this before about. I love how this tied in to your story, Maria. Evan writes here. This is you. This is your writing, Evan, right?
Yes, that's right.
Yes.
So you tied in because Maria described as Wakanda has been able to stick around for so long and not be conquered because it has these other protectors in the mystical realm, and the king goes out and fights these beasts, and then you have Storm mentioned for all its wondrous achievements, Wakanda is still a small nation that could be subdued by brute strength. So it sort of segues to the storyline that Maria was doing. I thought that was kind of cool. Did you have some knowledge that was going to happen, or you wrote that part in?
No, not the specifics of Murewa's story, but this is something I've posited before. I don't know if I wrote it in Rise of the Black Panther, but it's my headcanon. Look, my interpretation of T'Challa is somebody who understands he needs to be in communication with the outside world. Part of that is intelligence gathering. Part of it, I think he has inherent curiosity as a scientist to just want to know more about the greater world, right? But the idea is that he knows that if everybody came through just by sheer force of numbers, it'd be a lot harder to win the day, right? Like he's smart enough to know that. And what Storm is saying here is like, yeah, like for as big and bad as we are, like we don't rule the planet. You know, we have limited resources, limited manpower, that kind of stuff. You know, we got geniuses up in the palace who could figure a way, but like they might suffer a lot of losses. So yeah, it's just what is paramount is protecting Wakanda and T'Challa's mind, and part of that is just knowing the disposition of the world around him, and knowing that yeah, we're small compared to them. We might be better in a lot of ways, but like in terms of size, scale, scope, you know, the numbers could win out.
Yeah, this I love this one panel to the right here. It talks about a theme that I've seen in Black Panther comics come up a few times, something that I think is still a storyline that remains untapped. It says here, in the Tubu Abora labyrinth, T'Challa accesses immense power to repel overwhelming threats. I've seen him wonder how his rule might be different if he could draw on the energy at will, which goes to a larger concept that we've never seen T'Challa. We've always seen T'Challa as this benevolent ruler. What if T'Challa were to decide, you know what, I'm just going to take over the world? I mean, Reggie Hudlin did that in his Black to the Future storylines, where T'Challa just got fed up and said, you know what, Storm and I are the most powerful couple on the planet. We're just going to take over the world. We're going to destroy all the bad guys, lead the world. I'll link up with Namor. We'll put our families together. Between him ruling the oceans, we ruling the land, we literally run the entire planet. But that even in of itself was a somewhat benevolent dictatorship. I think the closest we had to a missed opportunity on that storyline would have been in John Ridley's run, which, in my opinion, I'm not going to get into that. But I thought there was an opportunity to explore that side in that run. If you want to portray T'Challa if you want to portray that there's a basis to oust him as ruler of Wakanda because he's done all these shady things, let it be truly shady, not simply he has agents that are set up to take over the world, which every country has agents that are set up to take over. That's how running countries happen. But have him somehow become evil and said, you know what, I'm literally going to take over the world. We've never seen a T'Challa unfettered. Have him be mind controlled by some entity, and let's let Wakanda run wild and fulfill Killmonger's vision and take over the world. That would be an interesting angle to take that character. Just as an aside. And again, I see the bald spot on the back of T'Challa's head. That's a bad coloring thing. That looks kind of weird. It's there too.
I think it's just meant to be the light scattering and reflecting.
I know. It just looks weird. I can't stop looking at it now. All right. So we go into this other storyline with T'Challa and Magneto. You know, we don't see a lot of storylines with the two of them together. I think the biggest storyline I remember before this was probably during
Priest Enemy of the State storyline from his Panther run.
Yeah. And then after that, there was the where the mutants take over the world. What is that? The M something. I'll remember it as soon as this is done.
House of M.
House of M.
Thank you. House of M. But this was an interesting comparison of these two guys. I love how Magneto, makes these comparisons between the fact that we both recognize the need to run our people based on the trauma that we have experienced in the past. The need to be vigilant and proactive in the protection of our people. And if need be ruthless in that protection. And I hadn't really thought about it like that. Like there's probably, they probably have more in common then different in that respect. T'Challa losing his father at an early age, Magneto, obviously going through the Holocaust. They both, as leaders, lost a tremendous amount of people on their watch. T'Challa had, I don't think it was at this point. I don't think it happened at this point, but in retrospect, T'Challa lost a lot of Wakandans when Namor attacked Wakanda, and Magneto obviously lost Genosha. So it's very interesting just to have those two comparisons made. But moreover, your tie-in, Evan, leads to the legend of Chris Priest and his run on this, which was really cool.
He hates that. It's always Christopher or Priest, never Chris.
All right.
I'm just letting you know. I spoke to him the other day, and he's like, "Yeah, never that."
He just all right. I'll just call him Priest.
Yeah,
just call him Priest. But I revere the man because it was his writing that made me fall in love with the character. But towards the end of his run, it went sideways with T'Challa because T'Challa developed this aneurysm that came out of nowhere and had him act crazy, and led to Casper Cole becoming Black Panther for all intents and purposes. But the following run after that never really explained what happened to that brain aneurysm. And out of nowhere, this anniversary issue gives us those lost storyline, that had never been explored. How did T'Challa lose the brain aneurysm? Don't want to go into too much detail in this, but in essence, T'Challa and Magneto enter into a deal, which reveals a level of duplicity in T'Challa that he is just famous for. Magneto notes that, hey, you've got this agent of Wakanda who's got information that I need. I'm gonna make a deal with you. I'll solve your cancer thing because I'm Magneto, and in exchange, you'll help me get the information on this guy that I need for Genosha. And read the story and you see what happens. Don't want to get into that, but this was well done. This was well done. And who was this artist? Have you guys ever heard of this artist before?
That's I'm pretty sure that's Javier Pina.
It reminded me a lot of Daniel Acuna's artwork. This is pretty cool.
Yeah, it's Javier Pina who actually drew the back half of Rise of the Black Panther.
Yeah, fantastic. This was a dope book, fellas. I don't know what to tell you.
Very, very.
I'm
just glad people liked it. It seems,
I enjoy that part too. People love it.
I don't spend a lot of time on social media reading comments anymore because I'd like to be able to sleep. But most of the comments I've seen on it so far have been overwhelmingly positive. So with that, let's jump into these questions if you guys have a sec. Chocolate, you can go ahead and pull those up.
Yeah, I can probably stay for like another 15, 20 minutes or so.
Mm-hmm.
We'll try and rip through this. Murewa, why did you have to cook up so well with this T'Challa story? That's more of a rhetorical question.
Thank you.
I think he kind of answered that he kind of wanted to show the haters what he's capable of. Ayodele, is the incandescent room still the primordial creativity? You recently said in Storm that the land of what should be and should not be is creativity.
Let me just be honest. I don't think I know about that room. It's the land of couldn't be, shouldn't be that I'm aware of per se, and the White Hot room. So it's more of a Storm thing, but that's the room I'm aware of. The other room is not in my scope right now.
All right. Next question. Who is Femisopony? What was the inspiration? What is the backstory? I think we covered that.
Yeah.
I think he's covered that. Let's go to the next one. Why do you choose to lean more into the mystical side of T'Challa as opposed to exploring a more magical side to him? The distinction between mystical and magical.
Yeah, I might. I
I love
don't think
Evan's
I.
face right now. He's like,
Yeah,
what
yeah.
kind of splitting hairs here?
If, if anyone here knows the difference, can enlighten me.
Yeah, let's
Yeah,
let's move.
no. To me, that was like they're not the same. I mean, next question.
For both writers, what was your favorite story of the anniversary series? What concept or idea did you enjoy the most from the stories that were not yours?
Um, the excluding the framing stories, the inside stories. I think my favorite was priests. Um, but overall, I enjoyed one thing, you know, from each of them. I enjoyed things from each of them. Ziegler's story reminds me of some of my like favorite, weird cartoon episodes, maybe like from Rick and Morty or something from Paddington World.
Or
And I think he has a history of
Futurama.
working.
Yeah,
Yeah, and
yeah.
I think he has a
Sure.
history of
He
working. Yeah, so just seeing two science bros, just talking science as they navigate through an alien world. It was very chill and relaxing. I could, even though I wasn't playing anything, I was reading it in total silence. I could almost just hear, some chill, background music just playing as they were just navigating through it. So it was very chill, cool story. And Priest's story was very, it was very
priest.
yeah, it was very intellectual, philosophical, political, and
And
you
it had
get
it
to
had a
see this.
twist at the end, which I didn't want to like give away if anyone hadn't seen that yet. That's why I didn't
Yeah,
want to go too much into it.
yeah. So yeah, I thoroughly enjoyed that. Um, the framing device was very dense with lore, and relationships that surround, T'Challa and Wakanda, and so many references to things that has happened to that has happened to T'Challa throughout his publication history, that it makes you nostalgic for every moment that
Mm.
he's gone through. So
Dude, you're making me
and
all emotional.
and getting to see all those cool Easter eggs, from Shuri to Eden and everything. It was very fun. All the locations there too were like deep cuts and references to previous runs. It's everything was, and the ending was mushy. Saying that, oh, T'Challa actually made it, and it was just being low key. I didn't think that was how the story was going to end. I thought it was going to be something like, well, I couldn't find T'Challa, I gave up, and but we now find out, oh, T'Challa is probably doing something, for the good of Wakanda or something. But seeing that, you know, dude was still low key there, he was trying to act like a cool guy, it was mushy and emotional. So yeah, it was a total package.
What about you, Evan?
I mean, thank you, brother. Like, yeah, that's that's the kind of reaction you hope for when you're writing something like that. As for the question, I mean, I'm not just saying this because we're on a stream together, but like Murewa's story was just like amazing. Like I, like a lot of other readers, want to explore that side of Wakanda. It feels rich with potential. Again, the folk ways of the Yoruba people and faith practices from all across the continent was like really moving to me. Like I'm not smart enough to know that this stuff was referencing, but I knew it was referencing something. I knew that it was grounded in
Mm.
reality. So that was really beautiful. And like yeah, like with this character, you made the subtext the main text, right? And the metatext the main text, which is like this dude has to this character as a concept, as an idea in the world, has to work so hard to like protect the notional space that he represents. You know what I'm saying? And like people are always like throwing hate and slings and arrows at this character and what he represents. And again, I think you alchemize that into a story that it's meta, it's actual, it's sub, like all these different layers. I can't say enough about it. I think it's a wonderful story. But like, also like Murewa said, there's something I like in each one of these stories. Zig's story felt like just two bros hanging out, like everybody's talking about the science bros part, and that's great. But it's like, like T'Challa often gets written as like stern, emotionally closed off. And I'm somebody who thinks all interpretations are valid, but I love seeing him like hang out with a friend,
Yeah.
That was a great part. And of course, Priest, the psychological stuff, the gamesmanship, this was like a throwback to one of his great story arcs during his run, Enemy of the State. No, Storm and Drang, I'm sorry.
Yes, Storm and Drang.
And like we're just lucky he got to touch the character again,
I do not know this man.
Oh,
Just,
yes. Yes.
I just ignored him like, anyway, so your agent. I did not know this man. So your agent.
So when I was like, oh, the king is going to die, I was like, oh my god.
Yeah.
All right, next question. Evan, what are your thoughts on Wakanda's Mute Zone and Tosin? Do you think about referencing them in your script?
I mean, I can only fit with so much in, right? The Mute Zones I love they're like conscientious objectors to like Wakanda's hyper-technological fetishes, right? Yeah. I think that's great. Tosin, like, he was fine, his publishing history and appearances are light, every character has potential in the right hands. So, if it's not me, it'll be somebody else that uses them. But yeah, look, one of the things I love about Wakanda is it is a patchwork quilt, like you've been talking about, Paul. You got the stuff from McGregor where it's like giant dinosaurs, resurrection altar, some guy who can bring people back from the dead. This is before T'Challa's King of the Dead status. Like this I don't know how many people know this, but I wrote the Wakanda Atlas that came out a couple of years ago.
Mm-hmm.
That's me. Thank you, brother. But like doing research for that stuff is like, there's so many different modalities contained in this one place, and getting to play with all that stuff. The way Murewa's story taps back into that, like you said, is amazing.
Next question.
Sorry about that.
I got my copies of this today. My question is, will this book have impact in other major story arcs and set pieces who write in other books? I'd love to see this marked as a key. Well, as I've marked repeatedly throughout this discussion, these brothers dropped canon left and right, and you can't change canon until you change it. But it's canon.
Yeah, it's canon, and the forest that this story sets in was already referenced in was already referenced in Rogue Storm 3, I think. I might touch up on it later. Evan might touch up on some of these stories later too, if it comes about,
if we get the chance. Yeah.
Yeah, we never know.
I think what the guys just said is that you need to go everyone tag Will Moss over at Marvel.
Please don't. That's a way to get for us to not get work.
Really?
Right. Like,
just ignore what I just said.
How many times have you seen a writer that everybody says should be on the book actually be on the book?
Yeah, I know. Sherilyn Eaton would already have a series by now on Black Panther. That's a story for another day. Next question. Do we know if any of T'Challa's non-herb powers can be passed to his offspring, or will that be a mystery until he has a child? I mean, he's an offspring of someone who had the herb in his bloodstream. You guys talk about it. You go ahead.
I think this is referencing the mystical magical stuff in your story, Murewa. Like, yeah. And that seems to be like inherited lineage type stuff, right? Like, I
think it's referencing the plot points in the upcoming Storm series that Storm will have a child, and that the child would have power sets that seem like T'Challa has them. So, but people say it can't be T'Challa's child because T'Challa only has those things like fangs and stuff because of the heart-shaped herb. So, can those, things be passed down? I think if I'm interpreting that correctly. But I don't know. We've not seen any canon child yet, so we don't know.
Ah, damn it. You were so close, Ryder Maverick. You were so close. Props on that question, though. You almost had him. Next
Yeah, but
one.
we've not seen anyone else. Someone might do that. Oh, everyone from the Panther tribe, as all this physical.
I've seen people. You got to wait until what is it? Storm 4? Anyway, I've seen people make Kratos God of War references. Was that your intention?
That's for you, Murewa. Yeah.
Yeah, maybe subconsciously, but not really. The jawbone thing looks like Kratos' swords, but the jawbone thing, like I said, has been in my head like since before I knew the Kratos video game. It's been there for a while, but it might have been subconscious inspiration.
Also, can T'Challa transform into a Black Panther now, or was it just the sequence before he descended into an underworld and rode his War Panther?
You kind of covered it.
Yeah, I covered it. It's not something I established. That was established by Juniba, and that was when it was going to the spirit world. So if somebody else wanted to make it that it can transform while in the human world, I don't know. But him transforming was not established by me, but by Juniba.
Show me the money. Yeah! Louder! Show me the money! I need to feel you, Jerry! Show me the money! Jerry, you better yell! Show me the money! I love black people!
I guess we got another super chat. Billie Jean 88 PYT, thank you for the money. From the story, it said married for a year. From my understanding, it was 6 years. Which one is correct?
When Marvel editors explain the sliding time scale to you, you're going to be just as confused as I am. I think
For every real world year, it's what, 3 years or 5 years?
I think the last time I had that discussion, I think they're saying, I think in Marvel continuity, everything from Secret Wars till now, in continuity, not in our real world, is 1 year.
Wow, that's a lot of bases. That's 11
Secret
years.
Wars, yeah, Secret Wars till now is 1 year.
So a decade
So,
is 1 year in Marvel continuity.
Yeah, so so it's a tough one. So I think that's why
it's during their marriage. Like, yeah, that's all that needs to matter.
So even Krakoa, all those Krakoa dinners they do every year, I think has almost been retconned into like it's a monthly thing, like it was happening monthly.
It's always dangerous to mention dates and time periods in comics. It's best just to say, "Oh, a long time ago" or "some time ago," for a time.
So in the real world, they might have been married for that long, but in continuity, we don't know. So it was just said there that in the year that they were both married, so it's more of reference to that than how long they were together.
If you wrote T'Challa again, would the themes of your 60th anniversary be something you'd continue with? As far as touching on esoteric side, props for bringing his classic Panther eyes back.
Both of us can answer this question, but I'll go first. But for me, I don't know. That's the thing about ongoing series that I'm not sure many fans realize. You might have your own ideas, but sometimes editorial might come with their own ideas that this is the direction they want to go with a character. Sometimes what is the status quo of the character when you stepped in would also determine, some things. Let's say, just a rough example, you always wanted to do a body cop story with T'Challa, where Shuri and T'Challa are like this duo, going on wacky adventures together, good cop, bad cop, kind of thing. And the time to get that email of, would you like to write Black Panther? Shuri is dead canonically, and you can't bring her back for the next 5 years. You have to change your pitch. So those kind of things happen. So I have T'Challa stories in my head. The one I told you is one of them. But if I got that email, it's something that I would get to think of afresh rather than relying on an old pitch. So I don't know if I would use this or not. Evan?
I got a question. If T'Challa were to ever have a sidekick other than Shuri, Shuri's not really a sidekick, but who or what would he or she be, and where would you pull from?
Oh, I was thinking Evan answered this question first. Like, would they use anything from the 60th anniversary?
Oh, yeah.
Right.
Yes. No, I'd use the stuff from your story. I'd use everything, like, and that's the point of like these characters, is to like weave all the threads of the different like iterations in with each other and see what comes out on the other side, right? Yeah.
What about Casper Cole?
Oh yeah, for sure. Like, I definitely have ideas for him. And like you said, if the email comes, then we'll see what happens. But yeah, until then,
Okay.
Evan, could you explain Josiah X's Dark Force powers? Was he supposed to be revealed as a mutant? And do you know what happened to the Black American Heritage flag symbol on his shield? Now, this is a reference to Evan Narcisse writing. Go ahead, Evan.
Yeah, I co-wrote a Sam Wilson book where we brought that came out last year, Captain America: Better Angels, and we brought back Josiah X after 23 years of being in limbo. Gave him a new.
And you made him better.
He's a good character, and didn't need me to make him any kind of better. Like, just I wanted to dust him off. Tweak him a little bit, make him available for other people to play with. And, to answer your question in the chat, no mutancy, like no mutant gene, no X gene. We know why and how he has his powers and his abilities. So, like, we don't need to make him a mutant. The Dark Force shield is a story to be told at a later date if I ever get the chance. The real world meta answer is they didn't want to just have him with like another vibranium, adamantium hybrid, whatever the hell. Wanted to be something a little bit different. So that's where that came from on the meta level. And yeah, the American the symbol is something I can't talk about. It's not as dramatic as it sounds, but it was on early iterations of the cover, and then the decision was made to take it away. So I really can't talk about that, but I think the whole design came out super strong regardless.
Yeah, shout out to Torrin Clark, I believe is the one who did the main design, right?
Yeah, that's I'm not trying to toot my horn or anything, but like I gave a design sheet to Torrin, and it was ass. Don't get me wrong, I can't draw, but like it was some color ideas and whatnot. It was some color ideas, obviously red, black, and green, Black Liberation colors. But Torrin flipped it. He does what he does. That is the homie for life.
Yeah. Is Zari included in future stories?
I don't know. I'm not writing any future Black Panther stories
That's
for now.
a difficult one to answer. It's like, can we have Casper Cole be the new leader of the Hatut Zaraze? Hunter is nowhere to be found, and Akili has passed, so the spot is open.
Yeah. It's an open question. I'm not trying to make canon on a stream, But here's the thing. One way to look at that question is, would these people let an outsider be running their, security services? I don't know.
But on the flip side, the last time you had people that were not outsiders, they both got kind of corrupted. So it might be interesting from the child's perspective to have somebody who he knows and trusts and owes some.
Yeah. So the only thing I'll say is, like, there's definitely story potential in the question and in the answer, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
I the thing I love about Casper is the same thing I love about Hunter. They're both outsiders in a country that hates outsiders, but they're close to the machinery of power, and we see how they react and respond to that stuff.
Mm. Can you explain more about why Storm was not killed after T'Challa's trial and what her healing powers ensue of? Where did the malevolent energy essence go, so to speak?
On a literally metaphorical level, it's basically, when two people are married, they become one. So if T'Challa can withstand the energy, so can Storm. So it's no longer an outside entity, it's a piece of him as well, just like he is so a piece of her. So it's she can choose to share that energy and share that pain with him. That's metaphysical stuff, but physical canon stuff, Storm is a goddess, so she's badass that way.
That was actually kind of a beautiful explanation, Maria. I mean, you could have simply just said, well, Storm's power set basically is that she can manipulate energy, so she can obviously withstand those energies from a mutant perspective, and then from a mystical perspective, she has the sorcery powers and she can manipulate that, et cetera, et cetera. But you're like, they're married. Their souls are one. That was kind of deep. I like that. I got a question. If T'Challa would ever have a sidekick, there's the same one. Next one.
Okay, I didn't answer that.
Oh, you didn't answer.
Where would you put? Would Evan answer that? I don't. I'm not sure.
I mean, like Paul said before, I'm sure he's not a sidekick. She's an equal. Yeah. She's definitely skilled. She's a sibling. Totally.
I always say that because I just hung out with my sister a few hours ago, and I was like, she's my younger sister. I wonder if how'd she feel if I ever called her my sidekick. She probably wouldn't take very kindly to that.
Nah, you'd be limping probably.
Probably.
Yeah, but like, depends what kind of sidekick we're talking about. Like a foil, like a squire, an acolyte. Depends on what the story needs.
Or maybe a co-star.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So I don't know. Like, I've always liked the weird friendship that Daredevil and Black Panther have. I'm also a huge Daredevil fan too. Like, it seems like that'll be fun to play with. I mean, of course, Priest is playing with it in the world to come. Yeah, something in the mainline universe would be interesting with those two. I always have these. I've had, we all have these debates as fans with our friends, and what's the difference between Wolverine's super senses, heightened senses, Daredevil's, and Black Panther? Yeah,
right.
And I have my answers, but I do think there are distinct differences.
It's the nose.
Yeah, it's the nose, but also Daredevil has the radar, so that's a whole other thing, which people always forget. But again, anyway. I can do one more question before I gotta go.
That's perfect because we only have one more question. Last question.
That was the last question. Sorry.
That was the last question.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. Fellas, thank you very much for your time. You guys wrote, and your colleagues as well, an outstanding homage to T'Challa. We Black Panther fans have been desperately wanting some more content from T'Challa in the 616 universe. And you had us eat with this drop. So wanted to thank you both personally, and thank you for joining us here tonight and sharing your thoughts.
Paul, you say that I'm biased because Victor Laval is a friend, but I'm enjoying very much what he's doing in Intergalactic.
Oh yes. That's not.
Mhm.
I'm referencing an ongoing series because one of the
Yeah.
some of the questions that you've gotten repeatedly is what's going to happen next, and we don't
That
know
ain't
the
up to
answer.
us. Yeah, no.
It ain't up to these
Yeah.
guys, unfortunately. But yeah, I mean, we had Victor on the show. He's an outstanding writer. He's doing fantastic things with the intergalactic empire of Wakanda. So again, thank you guys. Appreciate it, especially you,
Thank you for
Evan. I
having
know you kind of came in at the last minute.
It's all good.
Appreciate you coming by and sharing your thoughts with us. And thank you all with your heartfelt questions. I hope you enjoyed the show. If you want, please, I encourage both of you support both of these writers and what they're doing. Pre-order everything that they write. That's the best way to support the characters that you love, the stories that you want to see, and the creators who bring them to you. So with that, Black Comic Lords, we got you.
All right. Thanks, y'all.